James Watt, who was the Secretary of the Interior and responsible for all the national parks and forest lands. And there was a conference, and and it was about environmental things, of course, and what have you. And at the end of it, the mic was left hot, and he thought it was off. And he says, all these environment tree huggers or whatever, we don't need to worry about all this because the world's going to be destroyed soon, and the return of Christ is soon. And God wants us good Christians just go ahead and use it up. No, this is true. And this was the man responsible for the execution of policy for the entire interior of the United States. I used, and this is a proven historical fact, you can go look it up. So the point is that there are people in enormously powerful places who have that philosophy within their worldview. And of course, it's very sad and it's very misguided, but it's very powerful. And I personally met with some of those folks, and they honestly believe that. And so they are truly eschatologists. And this is why, another thing, why, it always seems that, why aren't they concerned about a $9 trillion debt that we are accumulating, mostly going into military spending? It's because they don't think it'll ever have to be paid back since the world's coming to an end. See, if your worldview is that the world's going to be destroyed anyway, why rock the boat and bring out these technologies? Let's just burn up the atmosphere, melt both polar ice caps, run up a $9 trillion debt, and destroy the biosphere. Because under those conditions, Jesus will return, or the Mahdi will return. And this sort of misinterpretation of Scripture and fundamentalism is a very powerful cord that runs through that group. And this is why the perspective in Hidden Truth, Forbidden Knowledge is why I put it out there, is that going beyond that mindset to the understanding of the time we're in. Don't mistake the closing of one cycle of the Earth's development with the end of the world. It's the end of the world on one level. It's the end of the old world. But it's really the birth of a whole new creation, a whole new civilization that's going to be developing. And here's the beautiful vision, no matter what people believe, is that you can be certain of this. Earth will be here in a beautiful way. Humanity will be here in an enlightened and peaceful way. And that is the path we're on, and it will continue for literally hundreds of thousands of years till all of humanity reaches the state of enlightenment and God consciousness. And that's where we're going. And in fact, what we're doing in this project is laying the morphogenic field and creating the foundation for that to go on and go forward. And that's the power of a lot of people going into this state of God consciousness and cosmic awareness and going into and seeing and praying for universal peace and manifesting that. Because that's the way society moves. And it doesn't have to be 99% of the people. They've done studies in physics where you have a 1% of a physical system like a superfluidity and helium, where 1% of the molecules become coherent and aligned. And once that happens, once you get that 1%, the whole substrate, the entire field shifts and becomes coherent. Now, ironically, just before that happens, it's the point of maximum chaos and maximum whatever, and that's what we're living through. But don't mistake the chaos for the coherence. What we really want to be focused on are becoming those islands of coherence that then recruit more. And once that reaches a critical mass, it shifts. And that's when everything changes and it becomes very different, like night and day. And that's the time we're in. And this is why there's so much confusion, because a lot of people get caught up in the chaos and the misinterpretation and all the false information and all the stuff. But what's really needed is a clear vision and to become in this state of consciousness and action also. It's not just in the state of consciousness, but it's that then leading to words and actions and work that build this coherent movement in a positive direction. And I'm certain that this will happen. It's just a matter of when, not if. It's when, not if.
Almost like a contest between coherence and clarity and obfuscation and overloaded all kinds of messages and disinformation and BS on one end.
Yeah, and you have to stay clear to be able to, you have to develop what I call your truthometer, your truth meter. Yeah. And we all have a built-in truthometer by the nature of our conscious being. And you can tell. You can tell if you go into that state, is this true or not? Is this vision true or not? And I don't take my word for it. Go inside yourself and see and feel and know, and you'll know the truth. This is where the world will be. We will be that civilization. And it's emerging all around us. It's just not quite fully there, but it's just right there, because we're over 100 and some years into this new cycle. And it's been advancing and advancing, and it's had its setbacks, yes, and there's been the chaos. You expect that. But it will transition. And we are going to see a civilization that will just be so amazing. And anyone who does anything to help move it in that direction, I think it's very important, because you then become part of that aggregate movement in the direction of coherence that then pushes the whole system, pulls the whole system forward, just brings it along naturally, without a struggle actually. It naturally is recruited. And this, you see this in your life, when you're doing on the path that's right and you're doing these things, the doors open and things just happen, and really mysterious things. But it's because the universe and nature and all of nature around us are supporting that. And it's beautiful. And we found that with these expeditions, is that because our group is doing this with this clear intent, with a pure heart, without prejudice and fear, in this state of coherent mind, that's the basis of the success of what we've been having. Very good question. That was a great question, actually. I think we've been about an hour and a half now. Is it? Yeah. So let us take about a 10-minute break to stretch. And when we come back, these questions could go on all day, but I want to get into what our protocols are and then do a guided meditation for everyone. And we will do this and go into this state of consciousness, unfold the cosmology together, and then contact these visitors and invite them to Earth in universal peace. That's what we'll be doing next. So let's take about 10 minutes to stretch and use the bathroom, whatever you need.
So we need to lock the doors because
First, I'd like to describe our protocols. The techniques that we use involve the use of consciousness, going into deep unbounded mind, and the steps of this coherent thought sequencing I'd like to describe before we do it. First, we go into a meditative state where we achieve silent consciousness, unbounded awareness. At that point, once we're in that deep state of consciousness, we begin to experience that all of us are awake with the same single light of awareness. And then expand that sense to the fact that the room is filled with the light of awareness, and earth, and space, and cosmos. And this keeps expanding to where we literally have the experience of being in deep space in a consciously aware state where we can sense the fullness of mind, of conscious mind, and see deep space. And then we go beyond the material cosmos and see the etheric and astral cosmos, and then beyond to this tonal causative level of creation, and then back to the unbounded from the cosmic mind. So it's from the conscious mind to the cosmic mind. And then once we're in those state for a few minutes, we then awaken to space and earth, and we search, we scan, and see if in our inner sight we sense an extraterrestrial vehicle. And it may be under the earth, it may be in space, it may be on a planet near the earth. But wherever our mind is drawn to, if we see an extraterrestrial person or a craft or their world, we connect to them, introduce ourselves as ambassadors from Earth to their people. And on the level of the pure consciousness of shared awareness, the mind through which every sentient being in the universe is awake, we stay in that state and invite them here in a spirit of universal peace. And connecting to them, we then connect. If we see their craft, we connect to them, and then allow to use our inner sight as their guidance system. And we come back towards the Earth, into the Milky Way. On one of the outer spiral arms of the Milky Way is our star system, the Sun, into our solar system, to the Earth, North America, West Coast, LA Basin. And then we'd continue to do this in a stream of coherent thought. Sometimes we'll sit for hours. Amazing. And they do pick up on that guidance. And then, towards the end of the meditation, once we have felt that we've made this connection, we go into a state where we then do a shared prayer for Earth, where we invite the cosmic being and the Godhead, the celestial realm, and the extraterrestrial beings to all join in visualizing the Earth in its healing and in its development into a world of peace and enlightenment. And that is usually at that moment. For example, at Mount Shasta a few years ago, the first time I did that particular protocol, which I'd always done silently but not out loud because I didn't want it to get too weird, I said, then at that point, I said, oh, who cares? So I did it, and at the instant we reached that point, this enormous spacecraft appeared in the sky, and a man was told to look up. And in deep space was an object moving that was at least several hundred miles across, perhaps several thousand miles. It was seen from southern Canada down to LA, and it was moving under its own steam, and it was interacting with us. And it was these 3 points, like 3 stars, but it was enormous. And in the middle, where you should have seen stars, was just distorted because it wasn't, that part of it wasn't quite materialized. And I knew it was this massive tetrahedral spacecraft that we've had contact with. That's an interplanetary center in deep space. And they were moving in at exactly the moment that we reached that point of the transformation of Earth. And it turned, if you can imagine the triangle in Pegasus, if you know the star, how big that triangle is in Pegasus, it was that size. Huge. Moving, and it moved across, turned, came over towards us, then went out. And as it was leaving, I signaled with this laser that I have, and the end of it that was leaving away, this brilliant flash of cosmic light came out of it and into the group. Beautiful. This we have a videotape of, by the way. So this is beautiful. It's very. This is a wonderful one. It's not legal. Had some Chinese company made it for us. But we do have ones you can get. And this is wonderful because when it's dark at night, you can. This will go through, if it's clear air, it'll go 100 miles. And actually at Sedona one year, we were there and a craft came over and I went, and it bounced off the underside of the craft and bounced back into us. It was a highly burnished craft that was right overhead, but it was up high. It was amazing. It was boom.
So at night that makes a green beam that he can point out things in the sky with. You can follow the whole beam.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we use these. We usually have a lot of these on site. And then we have the tones that we use, and Raven will play those for you.
She doesn't know that's her seat.
This is your seat, and everyone needs to be in the circle, of course. You want to have a seat and play this?
She has her little mouth.
Oh, yes, if you want to play them, yes. And just listen and be silent for a minute as you hear these. We play them, but we also transmit them over radio frequency. You can stay there so you can turn it off. These are ET origin. Originate. Thank you.
Those are all received sounds?
These were tones, as I explained earlier, that were received and recorded by BBC in England just the year before the landing at Alton Barnes, but in one of these crop circles. And we transmit these. We also have a three-dimensional version of these that we also use that was done by a very excellent musician who's on our team. Welcome, Raven. Thank you for that. And then, of course, we have the electromagnetic detectors that are passive detection systems. And these include magnetometers and laser and radar detectors and other electromagnetic detectors, that would tri-field meters and things like this, so that we get a detection when there's a craft that's either nearby or it may not be visible. But, for example, that probe that you saw, that communications thing that came in at Charlottesville, that was seen because it was IR shot. And you may know that in Mexico, a couple years ago, the Air Force there were scrambled into an area where there were several of these craft. They were not visible with the naked eye. It was only when they put on their IR, infrared light, that they then saw them. So remember that frequently these ET craft, it's not exactly always they're fully materialized and visible to the naked eye. And in fact, most of the time they are not. Most of the time they are resonance shifted beyond the speed of light, so where they're in that near astral etheric level. And we will see them only by the evidence of their scintillating around us. And we will have them actually settle over us like that, and the temperature will be out in these freezing areas. The temperature will go up 15 degrees, and it'll be like we're in an anechoic chamber where the sound is muffled. And we realize that we're actually in an ET craft. And all of a sudden you start seeing these beings moving around, and people are touched on their shoulder, and it's fantastic. And we do this, of course, this has always happened with these expeditions. And then, of course, for people who aren't quite getting the more subtle way that they'll appear, there'll be something like this one that flew over, wong, 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 wong. Or a brilliant light will appear, or an orb will appear and float through the group or outside the group. So the fundamental techniques involve just what I've described. I mean, I just want to go through it quickly. You can visualize us sitting out in Joshua Tree or up on Mount Shasta or in the Colorado desert doing this for 4 to 6 hours at night with these tones intermittently played, and then silence, and then the meditation. And it's something that builds over the course of the week, particularly after they've been able to scan the group, and the group begins to become more coherent. And that could take a night, or it could take a week, or it may not happen. Depends on the group coherence. So this is why the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. But if there's a part that isn't coherent, it can affect the whole as well. And particularly when you're asking for a civilization to appear. And again, as I mentioned, they are not going to do anything that is frightening or upsetting to people, contrary to what the popular myth is. They're extremely kind and very compassionate and sensitive to that. And so that's why the ability to get into this deep state of cosmic mind and experience cosmic consciousness and remain there centered in this pure state of awareness is the doorway that opens up the possibilities of contact up to and including a full meeting and diplomatic meeting with humans and these visitors. That's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for us to be at that level of coherence and unity and peace. And then everything's possible. Any questions about the protocols before we start the... We're going to do a short meditation that sort of demonstrates what I've described. Of course, we're not going to be playing the tones during the meditation. We don't. It's just silence. But about the concept of what we're doing. Great circle. One of the things I like to do, my wife gave me one year for our anniversary, this Tibetan prayer bowl. And again, tones are very important, and pure harmonic tones have an effect in consciousness. And this is, of course, a mantra, is the sound component of thought. This is why in every society, in every culture, there's this theme of tones or chanting or sound as a way of having the mind become centered and pure. So I'd like to start out with this. And the way to use this, I'll be ringing this bowl as we're sitting with our eyes closed. And follow the tone. Let your mind just rest on the tone. Don't try to strain. Just let it come into your mind and let it rest. And let the tone just be a point of focus, lightly focusing. And you will find that even after I've finished ringing it, it will continue to be heard in consciousness. And follow it to the point of extinction, to where it ends. And you will find that you're at that point of deep consciousness, where you can become aware of the mind that's watching the tone. And then we'll start the meditation, the guided meditation. Everybody understand what to do with this tone? So I'll ring it, sit quietly, and be comfortable, and you can close your eyes. Now, sitting in deep silence, become aware of the mind, the consciousness, perceiving sound, light, thoughts, self. And see that the spirit of this mind, the essence of this pure awareness, is an omnipresent, silent ocean of conscious light, clear, calm. And dive deeply in a state of perfect relaxation and peace into this unbounded mind. See that each of us are awake. And this silent aspect of the mind is universal. And that our individualities are like a pure crystalline snowflake, each of us unique, and yet the light of consciousness within us, which illumines our own being, is one. And we feel the joy and the love of this great being shining within each of us. And as we dive more deeply into this infinite ocean of consciousness, we behold that all perceptions, all beings, all matter, all worlds are like waves, rising and falling, forming and dissolving from this vast ocean, this awake mind whereby we are awake at this moment. With complete freedom now, go into the innermost silent part of this infinite being and watch as the waves of perception rise and fall. And see that this is our true being, eternal, beyond the limits of time, infinite, beyond the confines of space. And so it is that all that exists emerges from this unbounded mind, rising and returning to it. And this awake mind whereby we are conscious right now is that single light of cosmic awareness. And so we see that each person in this room is awake, and this awake mind is one. And we are all one in spirit. And that even our bodies and our bodies of light and the pure tone of our individual self is this conscious being, phasing, resonating as our individualities. And we are all struck at the beauty and the peace of being in this eternal home. And we see the earth beneath our feet and the sky above us is all consciousness. Because this mind is omnipresent, we may see any place and any time. On the wings of this unbounded mind, let us soar then into the sky above us. And as we rise above this hotel, we see Los Angeles receding and the Pacific Ocean to our west, and the mountains to the east. And the lights of the city are shining. And as we go up into the atmosphere, we now see the curvature of the earth. And we behold the entire earth, a beautiful orb, perfect, shining, spinning within this unbounded being of cosmic mind. And we see the earth is conscious, and she is awake. And we feel the infinite and unconditional love of earth for each of us, her children. And gazing into Father Sky, we see the other planets and the moon and our star, the sun. And we see them emerging, coalescing, manifesting from this cosmic mind, swimming in an ocean of pure consciousness and light. And as we expand further, with complete freedom, we go into interstellar space, and we behold the Milky Way galaxy, a beautiful spiral galaxy with billions of star systems and countless planets with civilizations and people and life. And now effortlessly, we expand further. And with the fullness of cosmic mind, behold intergalactic space and billions of galaxies stretching in all directions forever, infinite, boundless. And the awake mind, whereby we are conscious at this moment, is one and always inseparable from the cosmic mind from which this entire cosmos is manifesting. And seeing beyond the crossing point of light and matter and space, we behold the astral and etheric realm, shining, beautiful lights, astral worlds, endless, infinite light. And at the finest level, we behold the celestial light, the most great light, the first emanation of form and light emerging from the infinite silent mind, the same mind whereby we are awake at this moment. And passing beyond this finest celestial light, we hear this pure tone, the aggregate tone of all form, the sound of the cosmic being, the primal thought emerging as sound, manifesting stars, worlds, beings, people. And with this pure tone emanating from the edge of eternity, transcending the finest tone, we see the great being, the absolute, unbounded mind, shining, manifesting the entirety of the cosmos. Being thus established in this unbounded being, we gaze throughout the heavens, and effortlessly we allow our minds to perceive those civilizations capable of being aware of Earth and visiting Earth. And we see there are many. And we see that in deep space there is an interplanetary center. And we ask permission to enter this facility. And as we enter, we gaze into the eyes of those extraterrestrial people, and we see them watching us, and they see Earth, and we invite them in this spirit of cosmic being, acknowledging we are all one people, one conscious life, emanating from this unbounded self. And as ambassadors from Earth to their people, we welcome them here in a spirit of universal peace. And with our inner sight opened, connecting to them and to their spacecraft and their communication systems, we show them our location. And we show them the beauty of our Milky Way galaxy. And on one of the outer spiral arms, the sun. And as we zoom in to our solar system, we show them the third planet from the sun with her single moon. And as we grow much closer to Earth, we see North America, which is now in the darkness of night. And as we approach the west coast of North America, we show them the cities of Southern California and the Los Angeles basin. And this hotel near the airport. And we invite them here, and in whatever way is safe and appropriate for them at this time and place. Now we will sit in silence, continuing this protocol for a few moments. And if at any time you become distracted, return to this perception of silent mind, and then effortlessly see with your inner vision, and invite these visitors here. Now, let us take one another's hands. And if you cannot reach the hand of the person beside you, extend your astral hand to theirs from your body of light. And see that we are forming a circle of light, celestial golden light, and that it is passing from left to right counterclockwise, uniting our hearts and minds. And empower it with the full power of your will and love and intention of peace. And in this unbounded consciousness, see that it is now going at infinite speed, infinite velocity from left to right, making a perfect ring of golden celestial light. Brilliant. And now see it rising upward as a beam from this group, through the hotel, on the astral level, the etheric, and into space. A beacon. And this golden light is then diffusing, suffusing the entirety of the cosmos with the light of peace and pure consciousness. Every world, every realm connected to us at this moment. And we see these extraterrestrial peoples joining us and the celestial realm and the realm of the Avatar, the most great light. And we see this cosmic light coming back through us into our bodies and into the earth. And the earth suffused, permeated in this beautiful cosmic light. Golden, celestial. And we see this light from our heart and our mind, connecting to them and through us to all beings on earth. And we turn to this supreme and unbounded being, and we ask that the earth be enlightened, and that wherever there is on earth strife and suffering, that peace emerge. And wherever there is ignorance, the light of knowledge and enlightenment is dawning. And wherever there is greed and selfishness, we see the hearts opening to this boundless love of generosity, of giving, of oneness. And we ask the most great being to guide us and to protect us. And we are joined with these celestial and extraterrestrial worlds as we ask that universal peace, which we see within us, dawn on every place in the cosmos. That this is the time of the fulfillment of of the destiny of Earth and humanity. And we see the Earth becoming one of the great jewels in the diadem of creation, floating in space, emerging from this great being. And every man, woman, and child on the planet growing in this cosmic mind. And we see the wondrous sciences and technologies long withheld from the earth's people, unveiled, and all poverty dissolves into abundance, and all want is extinguished. And so, through the passage of time, we behold the earth as an island in space, connected to all other worlds, with her people enlightened, and a permanent and universal peace established. And we go forth in the state of God consciousness and universal peace to the worlds beyond. And we become extraterrestrials to other planets. And so we see this cycle, and that this is the time of universal peace. And we are filled with gratitude as we contemplate the beauty emerging within us and across the earth. And we ask the Great Being to guide and protect each of us, that we may work together and with the celestial realm and these extraterrestrial people in the establishment of this wondrous age. Namaste. Welcome back. We never left, but we did. So that's just an introductory meditation. I hope it was a good journey. What did you see? What did you feel?
See a lot of light and all kind of forms and shapes. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. Did you meet any people? See any spacecraft? Who's coming? And when? You can see doing this for hours out in the beauty of nature, sitting upon the earth in a circle, and the power that would be created there and the opening that would happen. Of course, during the day, we spend time teaching meditation techniques and practicing the remote viewing with practical exercises. We have a number of them we do. And then by the time we go out at night, people are becoming more awake and more awake and more awake and more resonantly harmonic, coherent. And so by the time we'd go out into the wilderness together, everything is possible. And so it is that we have seen almost every imaginable expression of extraterrestrial beings and celestial beings with us. And frequently as well, we will see those who have passed into the worlds of light, Native American elders, friends such as Sherry, who's in this photograph. There's a wash of peach-colored light next to this cobalt blue light. By the way, that picture, those of you who've seen it, was right above where the initiation cave in Joshua Tree is, where we take people, 9 people at a time was all that'll fit. And it's an ancient shamanic initiation cave where we become ambassadors to the universe. Yes?
Funny you should say that about, I first saw a lion person, and then I saw a person that the closest thing they looked to was a Native American chief. And I said, it's an alien, it's an extraterrestrial, it can't be a Native American. But maybe that's exactly what he was, with very pronounced cheekbones and heads up.
Well, I would like to thank you all for going on this journey with us. It's an introduction to what we do. Throughout the course of our weeks, some people who are here have been doing this for thousands of hours with me out under the stars. It's a wonderful journey, and it is something that is transformative not only for ourselves, but for the earth. And when we enter into that state, we know and we can see, and the extraterrestrial beings as well as the celestial beings manifest in ways that are just wondrous and beautiful. And what I would encourage each of you to do is to join us at some point, if you have time, on one of these expeditions. But even if you can't, we have the meditation tape that helps with this technique on a CD. And we have a training kit that you can get that has all the tones and everything. And you can form one of these contact groups wherever you live. You don't need, in fact, it's probably optimal to have a group of 3 to 8 people, because it's much easier to reach harmonic and coherence. And you can do this, and if you do, and you do it with this intent and in this state of consciousness, you will not be disappointed. We have had people who have done this all over the world who have had extraordinary sightings and contact that are ongoing. And in addition to that, I want to point out that the technique for being able to be a seer, and the popular word is remote viewing, but I use a ancient Vedic technique to teach in meditation, and then to go into this state of super consciousness, this unbounded state of mind, where from that level you can see and know anything. And in fact, one of the men that I trained, Bob Haregrove, when Art Bell had the contest a few years ago where he put something on his refrigerator to see who could see it, one of these, and he lives down here in San Diego, and he's just a regular guy who's like a title examiner or something like that, and he had been on these and he took that as a task, went into this state of mind and saw it and called up on the radio and said, "It's this." And Art Bell was so astonished, he didn't think anyone could actually do it. And it was a CSETI remote viewer. So this is a very powerful technique. It's Vedic, and it's unitive. It goes into that unitive state of mind, as opposed to the military type of remote viewing that is actually, in the long run, destructive to your capacities. This is a holistic approach that gives the dawning of the light of this unbounded mind that unfolds. And as you go into it more deeply, you will see that anything can be perceived at any point in space and time, and that every human being has this ability. Don't think that it's a gift that a few people have. If you're awake, you can become aware of that awake mind in the deepest and deepest way, and then see any place in space at any point in time. And this is the gift that is folded within each of us. Because in reality, in the structure of the conscious mind within us, the entire quantum hologram of the universe is folded. And so the entirety of the cosmos is folded within us. And we are all one being. Thank you. God bless you. Hope to see you all again. Thank you.